Well, hey there, and welcome back to another episode of the Upland Social. And we are doing something that's a little bit different today. The Upland Social on Instagram, we hit 1,000 followers, and that is a testament just to how awesome you guys are as an Upland community. And man, it's just so awesome how supportive everybody in the bird hunting space is. And just a way to celebrate that, I threw something out there that for anybody that was interested, the first 9 people that were interested, and jumping onto a podcast episode and talking about their plans for the upcoming fall, I would love to have them as a guest. And so I've got a handful of people here with me today. Some of them I've met in person, and some I have yet to. And one fella, the first fella that I'm getting ready to talk to you here with, is Eric Lindsay from Iowa. We actually had the privilege of hunting together this last fall. And so we're going to kick things off with Eric here and go down the line. But Eric Lindsay from Iowa, how you doing, man?
Yeah. Hey, Ryan. I'm doing good. Uh, nice day here in Iowa. I'm in western Iowa here. So, yeah, I think this is our first day in, I don't know, 4 or 5 that our heat index hasn't been hovering around 100. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. It's
outside, and also because I got my 3 kids in the house still. They haven't started school yet. So
Yeah,
letting
you
them
guys don't go back till
eat
after
lunch.
Labor Day, do you?
Two of my boys go back on Monday, and
Oh,
then
okay.
one, my preschooler starts, after Labor Day. So,
Yeah.
yep.
Nice, man. Yeah, it's definitely good to have some cooler weather. I was out the dog this morning, and it was nice to have that little tease of like fall weather, right? And that
Yeah.
cool crisp air. So I was super thankful for that. So yeah, talking about our fall plans, I know from hunting with you and bird country that you live in, pheasants and quail are definitely on the menu. So if you want to, let's talk about that, or maybe even some other trips that you've got planned. I know that you go to North Dakota pretty routinely as well. So what all you got up your sleeve for this fall?
Yeah, so starting out, Dove will be coming up here. My kids, my 2 older boys love sitting in a dove plot, so we're getting excited for that. And then also we'll have our teal season kicking off, and then yeah, youth duck, and then September is a busy month for all the fun stuff over here. So we'll be heading out to central Nebraska, try to do that every year, if not every other year. My brother lives out in north central Nebraska, so go out there and chase some prairie chickens and sharptail, and yeah, do some scouting for some later stuff, and just catch up with family. That's where I'm originally from, so and I'm
Hmm.
here in the Loess Hills of Iowa, western edge, right along the Missouri River bottom, and yeah, a lot of pheasant, and our quail numbers are getting back to the point where they're pretty consistent, where we can find coveys, not just one a day. If you really know where to look and start really putting some, you know, leather on the ground, you can find quite a few coveys. So pretty cool. But yeah, and then um, usually in late October, I think this will be my 8th year heading up to North Dakota, traipsed around there all over for 8 years, and found some awesome spots that we kind of just keep heading back to. So yeah.
Yeah. And are you chasing like roosters and waterfowl, like combination up in North Dakota, or what are you doing exactly when you go up
Yeah,
there?
we originally I grew up started out with waterfowl, with a little upland in Nebraska. And then at some point it definitely kind of transitioned more to just upland, and I think that was probably getting a pointing dog over a Labrador.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, they we the group of guys that I go with, we all work together. It's kind of our retreat from work after a long summer.
Hmm.
And so we usually will do a little bit of both, and mostly focusing on upland. But the waterfowl stints are tend to be more of just a reprieve for the dogs to slow them down, so we can get a full week out of them without burning them out. And so, and it's nice just to sit still and sit over the decoys and BS, with the guys.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like I was saying, I got the privilege of meeting up with you for an afternoon and hunting out in your neck of the woods last year. And I'll tell you what, not to definitely not in the name of hotspot or anything like that, but just from a landscape perspective, people, I think anybody that hasn't seen the Les Hills should see the Les Hills. It's a beautiful region. Uh, you know better than I do. What it's there's only two places in the world that have the landscape type. Um, uh, one being the Les Hills of Iowa, and then the other one's in China. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah, I think it's the Yellow River basin of China is the at least as far as um as deep of deposits of less soil, the clay loam sand mixture.
Hmm.
It's also the most highly erodible soil on earth, they say, and I believe it looking around here, I mean, it can stack very high and not erode, but you know, wind and water. I mean, wind is how they were formed, so they are constantly moving if there's enough disturbance. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a cool area. I found it 15, 16 years ago. I never thought I'd live in Iowa. I grew up in the Sandhills, and I came here and for college, and I ended up falling in love with it and found a job here, and I'm here. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's an awesome place for sure, and even from like a plant perspective too. There's like some western, more arid species of
yeah,
plants, that are just very specific to the whole state of Iowa. That's would be more kind of
yep,
like out west. It's just a cool place, and yeah, and from a pheasant and quail perspective, it's just cool. I remember driving through there on my way to Colorado. We took the scenic route and came up like through Nebraska on the Platte River, and I remember driving by and just seeing those towering Les Hills and be like, man,
hmm
I need to get out here and hunt. And it's fun because, as a general rule of thumb, the Les Hills are a little bit more known for the quail, and more of the bottom farm ground is kind of more known for the pheasant, right?
yep,
But it's just fun to like, oh, do you want to like hunt low or do you want to hunt high? And you have a chance to find both species in both places,
right,
undoubtedly. Um, but it's just a cool opportunity and a cool adventure that I would encourage anyone to go and um, kind of tear down their narrative of what Iowa is like. It's not
yep,
just a flat place. I mean, it really is like this beautiful landscape from the Les Hills up to the Driftless region up in Northeast, and everything in between. So
yep,
yeah,
yeah,
man,
and I
it's
I
it's
love
really cool.
sharing it. I love sharing these hills. I mean, that's how you and I met. I mean, started with a simple phone call about camping, if I remember right, wasn't it,
Yep,
Ryan?
yep, that's
Yeah,
right.
and it was like we talked for an hour and traded phone numbers, and I was just, I wanted to show you
Yeah,
what these hills, offered. I love them. It's amazing. I mean, I don't travel a lot outside of state. I mean, other than North Dakota and then a Nebraska trip, like I will. But man, I can get a lot of almost Western hunting in these rough hills. I mean, there's
yeah,
spots here that are very steep, and they take a lot to put a day into it, and it's
yeah.
fun. It's a lot of
Oh
fun.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, I got up into those hills that you're talking
hmm
about, and it definitely
yeah,
feels like I mean, when you get to the top, you're winded, so
hmm
you don't have to go on a far, out to Nevada or something like that, chasing chuckers to get at least a little bit of a feel for a Western hunt. You can
yeah.
go to Iowa and do it too. So that's really cool. Well, I
Similar,
appreciate
not the
you.
same, but
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that either, but
yeah,
it's got its own cool rugged feel to it. That's for sure. Well, I appreciate you taking me, man, and showing me the Les Hills, and yeah, and appreciate you sharing your plans for this fall, and
yeah,
whoever else you may show the uplands to this year. So it's good to see your face again too, Eric. So
yeah. It's good
appreciate it,
seeing you,
man.
bud.
Absolutely. All right, we're gonna hop over to Todd Freeman. Todd is in the Kansas City area, and I know that he has done his fair share of upland adventures. So, Todd, it's good to see you. It's good to see you today, man.
Hey Ryan, how are you?
Doing good, buddy. So, what all you got in the works for this fall, Todd?
Well, let's see. We got dove coming up on the first, and then early teal either the next Saturday, the 6th, or it's the following Saturday. And I get a little fired up for early teal. It's probably my favorite. I mean, I like killing big ducks, but there's something about not freezing your behind off in the marsh. Swatting a few, as I like to call them, marsh jets.
Yep.
And then from there, if the mornings are cool, I'll try and get out for the early part of prairie chicken. If not, I'll hold out and either wait till I get back from Montana in October. We go up there middle of second half of October. We'll be there for a week, and then November 8th, we opening weekend. I've got to actually guide that weekend, but I'm off the whole following week. So do a little hunting for myself out in Colby, where I used to live. And in December, I got another week or partial week of guiding out there too. So on top of that, managing Pheasants Forever chapter here in Kansas City, Johnson County 706, and oh, possibly gonna mentor a deer hunt for somebody. The wife, friend of mine, wife has been messaging. He's been messaging me wanting. She wants to hang on the side of a tree and try and shoot a deer with her bow. I told her about shooting a bow for relaxation, and 10 arrows a day is amazing to clear your head.
Hmm.
She jumped on it and took it, but that one he was questioning me, the three of us on a phone call for multiple days, and they went and bought a bow. I haven't heard much since, but so I'm just looking forward to October. I like
Yeah.
we're heading last 2 years we had went to North Dakota, Northwest North Dakota. This year we're going back to Montana.
Okay.
Hadn't been there since 22. So
Yeah. Yeah. So you'll be in where the pheasant season's also open for that time frame as well. Is that right?
yeah, it'll have opened the previous week. They opened the second week of October for their pheasant. Well, we'll be
Okay.
there on the third weekend. So yeah,
Yeah.
chasing,
Yeah.
chasing, of course, the usual. Little Sharpie, little Huns, and probably do a little pond jumping, maybe shoot a little
Okay.
waterfowl as well.
Yeah. 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 I went to Montana. So my dog Creek, she is just turned 4 back in February, and that would have been her very first like season, and she was only like 8 months old. But we went to Montana. There was a bad drought that year, just up in Montana, North Dakota. That would have been 21. But still got into like a pile of birds compared to like what I would get into here in Indiana, right? And so,
Mm-hmm.
um, but yeah, I need to get back out there at some point and chase birds around and when some of these years that have been better because I'd love to just compare it side by side. So that's
Yeah.
no, that's good, man. So would you say that you've got? I mean, if you had to distill it down to one species, um, I mean, even if you wanted to include waterfowl in there, we won't hold that against you. But if distill it down to one species, what would it be?
It will always, I say it like this, it's hard to, it's hard when you grow up in a good multi-species state. We've got prairie
Hmm.
chickens, got bobwhites, we've got pheasants, and if you get in certain areas, you can hunt woodcock too,
Right.
if that really hits your fancy. But it's pretty tough when you get into and not walk up on two dogs or four dogs pointing a good winter sized covey of quail, or you got a nice flurry of snow coming down and a rooster busting out, flinging snow all over you and the dog, knocking one down. It, I am always in awe that people say they don't like hunting pheasants, and I'm going. Apparently, you haven't hunted them in the snow when they're just holding tighter than all get out, and they just, dog. You get a great point. The blast, snow falling, it's probably my favorite, but
Yeah.
in Kansas, prairie chicken. I've been hunting them for hardcore for 20, yeah, about 20, 22 years. I was hunting them before they were cool on,
Yeah. Yeah.
before everybody was, thought they had to run to Kansas. I mean, I ran into two other guys that early prairie chicken. One was from Tennessee, and the other one was from Kentucky.
Okay.
And that was in the same. I ran into them for like 3 county area in north central Kansas where I used to go, and it was just odd. And then when I moved back this side of the state, I was like, oh well, we're gonna have to play in the Flint Hills, and so I had done that, in my younger years, teenage years, with a few friends and their dads, and so I mean, shooting chickens in September wasn't anything new to me, or
Hmm.
period, at least in the Flint Hills, at least.
Sure.
So um,
Yeah.
it's hard. It's hard to say that, like I said, in a multi-species state, but I'd probably say quail because I was hooked when I was 9 and I killed my first or 10 when I killed my first pheasant, and then we went down towards the corner of the field and flushed my first covey of quail, and I rolled one of them, and I was like, that's a pretty hard tie right there. But
Yeah. It's hard to beat it, right? It's mesmerizing
yeah,
is what I always
yeah,
say. And nothing will disorient you more than a covey of quail getting in front of you, you know.
getting up right. I can remember being the bird dog, still carrying, a 410 or a single shot 20 gauge, and flushing for my uncles and my cousins, and just getting all disoriented when 15, 20 of them get up in the midst of yourself right there in a field. It was pretty fun.
Yeah.
So that was
Yeah.
back when Kansas was stellar for both birds. You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
when a kid with a 410 bolt action single shot can limit out in about 5 hours on opening day, birds are good. And that was public ground.
Yeah.
That was not, we were not on private. It was all public ground, and it hooked me.
Yeah.
It hooked me.
That's wild. I can't
Yeah.
even fathom that, you know. We
I,
used to have uh, I was going to say we used
I
to
still
have. Oh, go
remember
ahead. I'm
that.
sorry.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
just gonna say, I still, just that rush of, and then stacking birds, and my mom and dad didn't expect anything. I went with my uncle. They didn't expect anything, and it was a good year in 1986,
Yeah.
and it was awesome. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's so cool. I only dream of days like that around here too. You know, I know I was complaining about rough grouse earlier, and I'm going to complain about quail now. Um, but yeah, I mean, we used to have numbers like that here too. You know, I mean, I wasn't a hunter whenever all that was going on. Best day I've ever had here was on a very well managed property, private property, and we moved 6 coveys off that property, and
yeah,
good chance I'll never have that experience again in the state, um, so yeah, it's fun to think back on that stuff, but and thankfully, Kansas still has, great opportunities, and I'm one of those people that hunt prairie chickens now because it's cool. But so I'm thankful that I can get out to your state, within reason, and chase birds around, and you got a special place there. So it's
yeah.
no place quite like Kansas, right? As they say. So that's
No,
uh
no,
that's
no.
that's cool. But well, thanks for sharing today, Todd. It's great talking to you today, man. We're gonna
Thank you.
kick things over to Tyler, coming from the East Coast, man. How you doing?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, absolutely. So Tyler, tell us, what all you got up your sleeve this week or this fall, for your plans. And I know you're getting out to Minnesota. Is that right? Did we talk about that?
Yeah, so we leave for Minnesota on the 13th. Gonna hunt for rough grouse and then sharptails for a couple days there, probably like 4 days, and then from there head up to North Dakota. Probably do North Dakota for 5, 6 days, and then hopefully hit South Dakota for a couple days. So that's the majority of September because I'll probably be gone. I don't know, 12 days, 13 days, because I think it's about 28 hours from my house to where we're going in North Dakota, door to door. But I have a lot, barring, knock on wood, barring no injuries this season. Should be a pretty incredible season, I hope.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. So, will you hunt rough grouse then, like in October at all, or will that just be exclusively September then?
Yeah, so we'll do the couple days in Minnesota for rough grouse. Then
Okay,
October, I'm gonna go up to Maine for a week. I'll be up there for work, but I'll bring the dogs, and then that we'll take some afternoon walks for rough grouse up there. Then mid-September we have the Rough Grouse Society in New York on the wing grouse camp. Excited to do that. It'll be the first time I've ever gone to that one, so that should be a good time. And then hopefully, and I know Chris is up in Vermont. I have a buddy, Bob Arkley, who guides up in Vermont. I'm going to hopefully get up to Bob if the stars align and I get my wife's permission. Because we got a pretty busy first, I guess, 60 days of the season because we leave then the day before Halloween for Wyoming and Idaho for
okay,
10 days. So yeah, so that's the first couple of months. I could
yeah.
keep going if you'd like to hear the rest of my season, barring any injury. But
I want to hear all of it, man. So go
okay,
for it.
so I wrote it down because I knew I would forget. So September's Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota. October's Maine, Vermont, and New York. Probably maybe Pennsylvania sprinkled in too. November's Wyoming and Idaho. December's going to be Virginia and West Virginia for rough grouse and hopefully some bobs in Virginia if I get lucky. And then January we're doing Kansas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, and Texas.
Dude, you
Yeah,
got some plans.
yeah,
I hope you don't experience any injuries because you got a lot to get through.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Me too. Gonna be putting a lot of miles on the truck this season for sure.
are you chasing quail down in Texas? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, so
Okay.
we stumbled onto some private that I'm still in disbelief. It's what are we paying? I think we're paying $500 for the three of us for 3 days each. So like, what is that? $175 a day or $150 a day? Not too shabby, and it hasn't been hunted in 10 years. They're only allowing three groups. We're the second group, so three groups, 3 days at a clip. And I talked to him Monday. It's 3,200 acres. He said there's at least 100 coveys on the property,
Wow.
at least.
Wow. Yeah. That's wild. Well, that's the thing too about Texas, from what I've gathered. I've never been there to hunt or anything, but that it's pretty locked up from a private land
Yeah.
standpoint. But if you can get access to those places, I mean, they can just be jaw-dropping numbers of quail.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Right place, right time. He doesn't even hunt them himself. It's like a big game property, I guess. I don't know. I saw it. I reached out and the stars aligned. We'll see. It's either going to be boom or bust, right? His 100 might be 100 birds in total. Maybe not 100 copies. I guess we'll find out once we get there. But
Yeah.
hopefully all signs are pointing Kansas, like Todd said, should be pretty good this year. We had a good trip out there last year. Oklahoma was good last year. And then New Mexico, I'm hoping we do pretty well too. We're going out with a buddy who's got a big string of dogs. So we'll be able to rotate dogs, keep them fresh. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
You chasing desert birds out there then, sounds
yeah,
like.
yeah. Merns, I'm hoping to see some Merns.
Yeah. You got to
Yeah,
try for some Bob Whites in New Mexico. I feel like that's something that
absolutely.
folks don't. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're trying to get all four there. But like, I mean, it's like you take the trips and it's like goal number one is like see a bird, right? So you see a bird, you check that box. Goal number two is like get a point over the bird. Boom, check that box. Number three, if you're lucky, maybe get a crack at a bird. Then number four is harvest it. So I'm hoping the stars align. But I mean, again, like I'm not saying anything everybody on here doesn't know. This is only my third season, but it's just been absolutely life changing. And it's incredible. I like it. I don't know if I would appreciate it like I do now if I'd found it 20 years ago, but now it's like it's just all I want to do. Hence
Yeah.
the plans I have in place this season.
Yeah. Well, let's hit on that. I mean, you've only been doing this for 3 years. So, like,
Yep.
what propelled you into this?
We got a bird dog just to get another dog for my rescue lab pit, and my wife liked the look of short hairs, so be it good or bad, we got a working dog, not knowing what we were getting ourselves into. He started to
Yeah.
drive me a little nuts, frankly. Found a couple guys who trained with pigeons, and I saw Frankie's first point, and I was just like mesmerized. It was like I think of because I was an athlete my whole life, and I just think about like just one of those moments you just never forget. Like when you're in the
Sure.
zone, and it just took my breath away, and it was just like aha, like where
Hmm.
has this been my whole life? Why am I just seeing this now? It was like there was just something about it, that just grabbed me, and I've just been. It's all I've wanted to do ever since,
Yeah.
honestly. Like that, I know that sounds dramatic and probably a little bit of an exaggeration, but like it's the truth, you know.
No, no, man, I totally get it. Did you know that he was like a pointing breed then, like when you
I
got him?
did, and
Okay,
so people would see him and they would ask me if I hunted him, but nobody. I live at the Jersey Shore. It's not really like a thing. We don't really have wild birds like we talked about, other than woodcock, and so everything's just put and take, and I didn't have anybody, mentors or anybody really to lean on. So I just started browsing online, kind of like what I did. I found that group, and then, be it good or bad, it drives my wife nuts. Like if I find something I like, I get like a little bird drunk, and I just
hmm
start going down all the wormholes, and I have not let my foot off the gas ever since.
yeah. You're by your description of what all you're doing this season. I mean,
Yeah.
you're definitely not letting your foot off the gas. So that's awesome, man. Um, so anybody that listens to the show, they may have picked up on this at this point, but I've got a pretty soft spot for Appalachian rough grouse. So I want to hear about that a little bit. What sold you on that? Because it's a hard sell to want to go chase grouse in the mountains out east.
So my first ever hunt, actually, with Frankie, was on rough grouse and woodcock in Vermont. I had no idea what I was getting into. I
Okay.
drove up, crashed with my friends in Burlington, then I drove up to the Northeast Kingdom, like another 3 hours the next day. No cell service, 3 hours of sleep. I'm all adrenaline that morning. And then like midday, this was in October. It's unusually warm. It's like 85 degrees. It was just like a really randomly hot day in Vermont. I get COVID. So I have a fever, body aches, chills, nausea. Bob Barkley, for people who don't know him, Bob's got to be 60 years old. I don't know if Chris knows him. Chris, or Bob moves like he's 20. Bob could hunt sun up to sundown, and it's just like, it's incredible.
Yeah.
I had no idea what to expect. And being competitive, I just said, like, this is not my story. I can't come up here, get sick. And so then I was like, I got to go out. I got to figure this thing out. And so honestly, the sound of the flush, it's the dog work. It's just it's so rewarding. Like,
hmm
when I harvested my first grouse last season over Frankie, I was like jumping up and down like a cheerleader. Flushed like 70 birds. You miss every single one, but there's just something about, they don't tolerate mediocre dog work. The dog work has got to be solid. And so
Yeah.
just everything about them, like when you see them, how beautiful they are, how aggressive the flush is, it just takes your breath away, and it's just like adrenaline dump every
hmm
single time.
hmm Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what draws me about them too, is just the places that you have to go to find them. I think about, I don't know if like you ever watched, like when you were younger, they're in the book's been out forever, but from C.S. Lewis, it's the Chronicles of Narnia, the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and they had to
Yep.
like go through this wardrobe to find this ulterior world. Um, and I always think about like how rough grouse hunting is like that, where it's by
Hmm.
immersion. It's not like you can just look out in the field and be like, okay, I think the pheasants are going to be over there, the quail are going to be over there, but you have to like go just kind of get lost in a sense, and just immerse yourself in their world. And I'm right there with you, man. Like where they're a tough bird. They're not sturdy in the sense of like a pheasant. Like you get like one or two pellets in them, and they seem to,
Oh yeah.
they're done. Unlike a pheasant, which would just take off running probably or keep flying. But yeah, just the places they live in, and just how truly rewarding it is, to put one in your hand. And what I particularly love about rough grouse is that every single one is like a snowflake. All their patterns and their feathers, they're
Oh
all
yeah.
just a little bit different, and they each kind of have their own like fingerprint, if you will. So they among every single bird species, there's so many reasons to love them. So, man, I really appreciate you sharing that. So it's all
Yeah,
good
man.
stuff. I wish you the best this season. I wish you that like you said, barring no injuries, that there aren't any injuries, and that you're able to just live it up in all those places. And you got some awesome plans on the calendar, that's for sure. So I appreciate you being with us today, man.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, we are gonna kick things over to Joe. We are joined by Joe from his hunting cabin out in South Dakota. Is that right, Joe?
Yep, we're down here in east central South Dakota. Came down here to
Nice.
do a little work and check things out before season gets rolling.
Yeah. You said you guys got a bunch of water last night, right?
Yeah, they've got probably over 8-9 inches of rain here since the 1st of August, so it's pretty wet, and there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of mosquitoes right now.
Yeah. Yeah, like we were talking before we hit record here. Luckily, we're out of that phase where pheasant chicks are susceptible to something like that from a weather event. But it's gonna be pretty tough on the farmers, right?
Yeah, tough on the farmers, tough on some of the old back roads. They're underwater.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, to on the bird side of things, with bird numbers, how's bird numbers looking? Just like out in your neck of the woods, man.
Well, I've been down here 2 or 3 times throughout the spring and summer, and it really started out good. I think it's going to be patchy. There's been a lot of weather events, different areas kind of around me, so it'll be interesting to see when we roam around and start hitting spots. Probably going to have to start where there weren't many weather events and then work our way to other places if we need to. But I
Yeah.
think it'll be hit or miss.
Yeah. I think that's an underutilized thing that I definitely need to look into more with just looking at like rainfall maps and kind of precipitation history. I think besides obviously like Onyx and tools like that, and looking at topography and like habitat and crop history and all that kind of stuff, all that stuff's like super valuable. But there is something to be said about the rainfall piece of it too, and you can save yourself a lot of. I mean, it's still you got to just get out and go, right? But you can definitely save
Right.
yourself some boot weather by watching those that weather history. So, yeah. Well, I hope you do find some good pockets then, like you're talking about. But yeah, so tell us, Joe, what all you got planned on the docket for this fall. If correct me if I'm wrong, I think I saw this like on a social media post that you made or something like that, or a comment on a post that you're heading out to Nebraska this fall. Is that right?
That's first on our slate here. We're trying something different. Normally used to go to Montana Labor Day weekend, but the way the holiday fell this year and the way the weather's been the last few years, we kind of just pushed that trip back a couple of weeks. And we're going to
Yeah.
try and head to Nebraska, but I've been watching the weather there. It'll be iffy if it doesn't change the forecast, but go down
Mm-hmm.
there and check out the sand hills for a little bit anyway, 3-4 days, and get my feet wet after my appearance on the Flush podcast. There, I've had a few people reach out and give a little insight to certain places I might want to target and try and focus on. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. So
we'll hit Nebraska for that trip, and then probably come back home. I live in Northwest Minnesota. Come back home for a few days, and then we'll head out to central North Dakota, where I actually grew up. Go back to my parents' place and chase some sharptail and Huns there. Going to meet up with Wyatt Peppel from the Upland Nomads podcast and Tim Wagaman from Wagaman Outdoors. Help them find their way around that area. They haven't done much hunting in that area, so I've been 20 plus years in that area. Got some pretty good spots, and cover looks good. Bird numbers look good in that area. So
yeah.
we'll spend 4
Yeah.
or 5 days out there in Dakota, and then we'll go back to Minnesota and regroup for a couple of days, and then head to northeast Montana for 4 or 5 days and do the same thing, chasing some Sharpies and Huns out there. We've been doing that for 15 plus years, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Got the
Yeah.
bird report from Fish and Game out there last couple of days ago on the email. They're supposed to be about average, so probably not going to be as good as it was the last couple of years, but it'll still be better than going punching the clock at work. So
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So the Sandhills, is that something that's new for you then that you've never been to before and done?
yep, I've only been in Nebraska once before, and I was just barely into the border, and it was mid to late January. Pretty much just chased some pheasants here and there, and stumbled on some chickens. So yeah, this is going to be all new for me down there.
Yeah. Have you hunted prairie grouse then much? I mean, I'm sure you did like sharp tails up in North Dakota, but have you pursued chickens exclusively?
Yeah, we've been going over south up here in the national grasslands for probably going on 6, 7, 8 years, somewhere around there. We do a 4 or 5 day hunt out in that
Okay.
area.
Yeah, that's
So
cool.
yeah, they're kind of fun to hunt. I like them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Well, I love prairie chickens, and I have like a just a fascination with them, and just the history behind them, and just kind of which kind of tells about the history of us too as a nation, I think, as well, and just have such a deep respect for them. So um, I'm jealous of you going out to the Sandhills. I mean, I'm going out to Kansas, like what I was saying to Todd earlier, and chasing chickens out there. But I definitely want to get up to more of those more northerly plains states as well, Nebraska, maybe South Dakota, if I am not too afraid of rattlesnakes, and chase those birds up there too. But they're just such a treasure of the prairie, I think, and they're just really cool. Now, will you go to Minnesota, to Northwest Minnesota and chase, or where I'm assuming that's where the sharp tails are, but kind of up in that region. Do you ever pursue sharp tails or prairie chickens in Minnesota?
I do. I apply every year for the Sharptail, the lottery license here in Minnesota, and I've gotten drawn 2 or 3 times, and I've only been skunked once. So we'll see if I get drawn this year. But I do a lot of Sharptail hunting in Northwest Minnesota. That's kind of my after work hunts in the fall, or weekends when I'm not on the road. I'll jump out, and we actually have some new walk-in land up in that country this year, which is pretty cool to see the old
Cool.
yellow octagons out there, and the land we drove by last weekend looked really good. So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah.
we'll
No,
come back up there and spend some time in Minnesota after our Montana trip for a few days, and then I'll do my Fort Pierre trip back up to Minnesota, and then we'll hit the grouse woods like the first weekend in October. My significant other has a family hunting cabin and 40 acres up in the woods, surrounded by a bunch of public land with a lot of walking trails and some good habitat. So we'll chase some roughies and
hmm
hopefully find some woodcock this year. We didn't even see a woodcock last year. That was just totally weird. And normally you can
yeah,
almost limit out on them, so it was strange.
yeah. That's I hunted northern Michigan, not the UP, but like the northern lower, and I struggled with woodcock too. I mean, it was like I found one the very first day I was up there, and it wasn't until like 4 or 5 days later till I feel like I kind of like got into them. You know what I mean? So I don't know if like I just didn't have a flight of birds come through yet, or if there was something with like moisture dependency, like where I will say I was hunting kind of more sandy soil, at least in some places, at least one place in particular I can think of. So I'm sure that probably had something to do with it too. Um, but yeah, it's I definitely didn't get into like good numbers either, and so that's crazy that you didn't even you guys didn't move any birds at
I
all.
think it
That's
was
just
dry for us. It was really dry, and I think that's probably what pushed them to other places, probably deeper in than I normally go.
hmm
So
yeah, those real lowland wet areas. So you have to have a permit. You have to apply for a permit to hunt sharptails in Minnesota too.
no, just the prairie chickens.
Okay, just chickens. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, yeah, kind of like a resident only benefit you guys get of hunting chickens there, right? That's pretty cool.
Yep.
But
Yep. That's pretty cool.
yeah,
So
well,
then,
Joe,
yeah,
this was great.
October,
Oh, yeah,
I'll spend a lot of time chasing the roosters. Didn't want to cut you off there, but
no, you're good.
I'll hit North Dakota and South Dakota for probably 20 days. Bring some people down here, and we get groups of 3, 4 people rotating through for 10 days, and kind of fun to show different people the lay of the land and get them out chasing pheasants. And we're hoping to branch out into the west here. A buddy of mine, we're going to try and hit Idaho, somewhere along the Salmon River. It turns out an acquaintance of mine has a fishing camp out in that area, and he said, "Yeah, we see some birds around there." So I think we're going to try and do that in November, December, but it'll be
Cool.
trying to get some chuckers and mostly focus on pheasants from November, December, and through January, unless I make her down south chasing some quail.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's good. And those desert quail are definitely a way to extend your season, and just like what Tyler was talking about, it's so and like, going back to the Appalachian Roughs too. I mean, that's definitely a way to. It's definitely not bird contacts hot and heavy, but it's still a way to extend the adventure, I guess is a good way to put it. So,
I
yeah,
thought
well,
my 15 to 20,000 miles a year that I put on was pretty big deal, but I think Tyler's going to have me beat pretty bad.
yeah, he's you're just head over heels right now, Tyler. That's for sure. I know that we can't respond to us, but yeah, it's gave us a thumbs up there. So, yeah, well, Joe, I wish you the best, man, and you definitely got some fun things on the docket. Wish you the best in the Sandhills. If anything, man, just explore and just have fun and enjoy that beautiful country out there and just those wide open spaces that the Sandhills have to offer. So I'll definitely be
Absolutely.
jealous of you, but thinking of you as well. So it means a ton you come on today. Thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we are moving over to Kristen Murray. And Kristen, you do some fantastic photography. I know that you did some photography for the guest that I had on here, one of the first episodes that I had on the Upland Social with Rob Moore. Yeah, so Kristen, tell us just where are you located at, Kristen?
Yeah, so I'm a traveling dog and gun dog adventure sporting lifestyle photographer. I'm based out of Virginia, but I'll go really anywhere. Funny that you mentioned Rob Moore. I actually have Lincoln's puppy right here.
Oh,
Love of my
yeah.
life.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah. For us, it's really going to be all about just like the dog work this season. I just got back from a big cross country road trip with her, and I don't know if I have any more travel in me right now.
Yeah.
So mostly we'll be sticking to Virginia, West Virginia, trying to get the elusive rough grouse. We've got some great like contacts with her, but not anything like no harvest yet. So
Yeah.
that'll be our focus. We also picked up a two-year-old English cocker. She was started on quail, but this will be like her first real hunting season. So I'm super excited to like get her out on some wild birds, get her trained up on woodcock. I'll probably get like flack for this, but that is my favorite bird to hunt is the woodcock. So yeah, that's our goal for this year.
Yeah, awesome. So what's the Brittany's name, the one that you just brought into frame?
Cedar.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how old
Like
is
the
Cedar?
Cedar is 2.5.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Awesome.
on my first bird dog, I kind of got into the upland world on accident. And then I met Lincoln, photographed him for Project Upland and Hunting Dog Confidential, and just absolutely fell in love with him. And I remember telling Rob, I'm like, if you ever sire a litter, like you can take my firstborn child, like just whatever you want. I want a puppy. And a couple years later, he called me and he was like, hey, so guess what? And then I met the mom, and she was just absolutely fantastic. And I always say that like I probably messed up getting like the perfect dog for our first bird dog. I was very lucky or spoiled or whatever you want to call it, but she's just been like phenomenal at everything she does.
Yeah.
So.
That's what I say about Creek too. It's just like we just lucked into just like the best dog in the world.
Yeah.
Because I still don't really know what I'm doing, much, but
Same.
and so yeah, it's just which probably speaks more to just how awesome these bird dogs truly are, and I obviously have some bias, and I'm sure you do too, towards the Brittany breed. I know Jake does as well, at least right now with his Frenchies. But yeah, I mean, it's just a testament just to how awesome they truly are as dogs, and how intelligent and smart, and just how quick they are to figure things out. Just want to please and just want to be with you, and they make their awesome instincts make it way easier on us as like beginning handlers, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So I definitely appreciate that. So tell us about the cocker. I had a cocker spaniel when I was a little kid that was just like a family pet. Had no idea that was actually a hunting dog breed, let alone did I know that like a lot of breeds are originally bred for an original purpose. But yeah, what made you go with this English cocker?
So, Cedar's our pointer. She's been great. We've kind of in Virginia there is Greenbrier, and I got sick and tired of like being the ones to have to flush. So we're like, all right, we're gonna get a cocker, something that'll go in there and get the birds up for us. And I was down in Georgia, traveling, photography. But I was down there and I stopped by this kennel and we got her for a song. Um, she wasn't thriving. She's got a luxating patella, so they couldn't use her as a breeder. So we got her and ended up like training her. She'd been started on quail. So we, got her on some more pigeons and helped her with the confidence. She was in a like kennel environment for about 2 years and just wasn't thriving. So now she's in our home and she is, oh man, she's a wild child.
Hmm.
I don't know how many of your listeners have cockers, but they are, I thought Cedar was wild as a puppy. This dog is off the charts with like energy level and desire to please and like always has to be carrying something in her mouth. So she's great though. We're really excited to get her in there, but her name is Scarlet.
Scarlet. Okay. And how old is
hmm
Scarlet?
She's a couple months shy of Cedar, so like 2 years, 4 months.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, so this will
Yeah.
be her first season on Wild Birds.
Okay. Has she had
Yeah.
so she's had zero wild bird exposure then at this point? Is that what you're saying? Or
That I know of. So we've took her up, do a little bit of scouting. She's had some grouse contact, but I don't know like how much of that was actually intentional grouse contact
sure.
versus just like running and that's how Cedar actually like figured out what woodcock were. We took her out one day and she was just like running around like having a hike in the woods, and then we actually kicked up a woodcock, was able to shoot it and just like make the biggest deal out of it,
Yeah.
and let her smell it, and then it was like a flip switched and she was like, oh, we're hunting. Okay. And then she went to go find like 4 more that day. And
Cool.
it was incredible. So we're really hoping that like Scarlet will go along those same lines. But with Cedar there finding the birds, I think that'll be a little bit helpful for Scarlet. But
Yeah.
again, first cocker, first flusher, we're doing the best we can with the little
Yeah.
knowledge that we have. So yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see what happens.
Yeah. Just go have fun with it, right? And just kind of
Yeah,
there's a
that's
degree
the
of it
most
that you
important
just let
thing
it
for us.
yeah, just let it play out, right? So do you
Yeah.
have aspirations that like where like Cedar goes on point, you're healing Scarlet with you, and then you send Scarlet in, or are you just like, hey, we're just gonna hunt together? Like, do you have kind of a
I
goal in
mean,
any of that or anything?
I think at least with the first split of woodcock season, we're kind of just gonna like let her, if she busts up a bunch of birds, like I don't care. I just want her to get contact and like have a good time. I'll probably focus on keeping Cedar a little bit steadier. I'd say she's about 90% there, but she's still really young too. So I'll probably focus on keeping Cedar steady and just letting Scarlet get as many contacts as she can. And then maybe like the second split, we'll kind of try to like tighten a few things up and heal her in and, actually do that. But it's going to be, I am very much like let the puppy be a puppy and
Hmm.
have as much fun and put less pressure as possible. And I look at Scarlet as like a 2-year-old puppy, right? So
Hmm.
I think this first year it was just going to be keeping it fun and building her confidence and letting her get as many contacts as she can. And then, we always have time to tighten things up.
Sure. Yeah. And that's what I was going to say too. Not that I'm like an expert trainer or anything like that, but it makes sense in my head that, even though she's 2 years old, she still had not any exposure to this. So it's like, just go, just let her just
Yep.
realize that like, hey, this is really fun. And this is like what I was made to do, kind of thing. And
hmm
just let it happen, So you touched on woodcock, and definitely don't need to apologize for that being your favorite bird. I have a soft spot for those birds too. That was my dog's first wild bird point. So
Same.
tell us why they are your favorite wild bird.
Um, so we're in a great spot here in Virginia where we get like the birds coming down from Maine and then also a few from Michigan. So we've got like a congregation. So I like fast-paced, fun stuff. What I've done some grouse hunts. I don't know if that's for me, at least in Virginia. But with the woodcock, like if they get up, they only fly but so far. Like my dog gets a lot of contact. It was her first, wild point and my first actual wild bird that I harvested. So I have a major soft spot there. But also I can go like 15 minutes down the road after I'm done, get a few birds, have a good day. Even if I don't get anything, Cedar had a great run.
Right.
And so it's just ease of hunting, along with like nostalgia of that's our first bird together. And we have the quail's making a comeback. We ran into a couple coveys here in Virginia last year. But I still like the woodcock, and especially like when you get like two or three at the same time, and she's like pointing like over here, and it's just
Yeah.
really fun. It's really fun to watch her. As much as I enjoyed bird hunting, I also really enjoy the dog work.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like,
And
yeah,
yeah, for sure. They're great for all those reasons. And then also woodcock offer just something so cool. Like I don't know how much this happens like in Virginia, but I know here, like when they're returning in March and February and doing their sky dance, and you can just go out every night and witness that right at dusk. And they they show up in a cool way for you that time of year too, and
yeah,
do like some really awesome stuff. So I'm appreciative
yeah, they
of
do.
that as well. So, well, Kristen, I wish you the best this season, you and Cedar and Scarlett. Yeah, really good talking to you, and yeah, just wish you guys the best in all your endeavors, and have fun with your 2-year-old puppy. All right.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks a lot. All right, we got Chris from Vermont with American Field. Man, Chris Ingram, how you doing, man? It's good to see you.
Ryan, doing well today, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you've had a busy day so far?
Busy day, busy week, month, year. It's just busy. Yeah, I'm trying to find some different synonyms. I don't like that busy, but getting jammed up, having fun. It's a lot of that mixed up together for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So for any listener that doesn't know that you are the editor for the American Field magazine that's owned by the UKC, that's been a recent, I know in the last probably 8 months, year. You obviously can tell me better than me, but kind of a revamping of that publication. Tell us just a little bit. I want to hear about your fall plans, but tell us a little bit about that publication as well.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. So I got started with the United Kennel Club about a year and a half ago, and one of the main focuses for my role was to rebrand and relaunch this American Field. It dates back to 1874, and it's really kind of been synonymous with pointing dog field trials in America. It used to be a tabloid-sized weekly newspaper, and even back in the 1800s, it had lots of different stories: travel, history, conservation. There was some fishing and different outdoor adventures within that. But when the pointing dog trials really took off, it just sort of became the hub of all that. And UKC purchased it in 2021. And it had the Field Dog Stud Book registry that sort of became combined with our system. There was the Sport of the Field Trials. What else? The publication we sort of launched into what we call the UKC Field. So trial reports, upcoming events. If you're in that sporting game, that's what that is. So what was left over is this legacy title of American Field. And it sort of just seemed like a natural evolution with our business at UKC, featuring all types of sporting dogs, everything from coonhounds and squirrel dogs, beagles, retrievers, bird dogs. We put them all together in the brand and the magazine. So we relaunched that back into print back in December, and just have our fall of 25 issue out circulating now. So yeah, been working on the magazine and the brand and all sorts of things. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's a beautiful publication. I've had one in the mail, and I think it's really cool how American Field's doing a really good job of celebrating just the lifestyle with hunting dogs. It's not necessarily just bird dogs, but like you were saying, with coonhounds, with bear dogs, rabbit dogs. It's touching all those different touch points. Even turkey dogs as well. I was listening to podcasts with you and Heath Sainer and Chris Jackson the other day, and talking about turkey dogs, and that's just a whole fascinating world that we could dive into if we wanted. But yeah, love what you're doing with the publication. But man, tell me what all you got on the plans. I know that I know you said you don't like that word, but busy with the publication, and that never stops, I'm sure. But when you're squeezing in some hunting time or taking a trip here or there, what do you got going on this fall?
Yeah, so September 1st in Vermont, we do kick off with the early Canada goose season. So I've waterfowl hunted for almost 10 years or more now, and so always look forward to that. And that's just kind of nice to get out with buddies, and you sort of pattern these birds and just sort of ease into the season. But trying to think of what else here too. So I live in the Middlebury area, which is near Lake Champlain. And anyone familiar, that lake borders with New York State. So I'm 15 minutes across the bridge, and I'm in the state of New York. And a bit of an oddball here, but I chase snipe and have done a lot of fishing on the lake and have found how to pattern, find, and hunt these birds. So I go over to New York on September 1st and start hunting snipe, and then October it kicks off into Vermont along with woodcock and grouse. So it's kind of nice to just start like seeding things in as you sort of like gear into it, and then by October everything's cooking. So, but we'll probably spend most of the season close to home, and I guess the beauty of New England too is I can get to almost any state within an hour's two of driving. Lots to do, but we'll definitely kind of focus on some waterfowl, some upland, a few different things. Yeah.
Yeah. So snipe are real then, huh?
Yeah, I just, it's so funny because I was in the Boy Scouts, so my first introduction, my first snipe hunt was the old prank and sort of rite of passage. But I tell you, I hunted that first snipe hunt just as hard as I do now. Only tend to bag a little bit more birds this time. But yeah, man, it's really fun. And so, truth be told, I'm still without a bird dog or hunting dog of any kind. Although that's going to change in a few weeks. We can get into that a little bit later. But I got my introduction through hunting upland birds without a dog. And for anybody that follows woodcock, they're pretty conducive to the dogless hunter. The grouse are so tricky, just really getting a flush and being positioned the right way. But I've found great success just walking the swamp edges and the lake shores for snipe, and kind of you just walking along. And what I found is I get into the habitat areas and kind of walk in a way that sort of puts pressure for them to flush out open over the water, which lends to easier, safer shooting and likely an easier retrieval. Because golly, you can imagine this mottled rusty brown bird going down in the brush there. They're pretty tricky to find, and they're pretty small, but it's a blast because we really don't have covey birds here. But like the woodcock, like Kristen said, sometimes you get 1, 2, 3 of them. And you get your heart going when they jump and they zigzag, and it's a little bit of chaos there. And I think we're pretty fortunate because we do get a resident snipe, and we get a lot of migrators that come through too, and sort of find these little micro habitats that hold birds, and they're there when the conditions are right. Like they're there frequently. You can kind of hit those same spots time over time because those birds are moving through. And I've always gravitated toward the obscure. Nobody really minds me when I'm going around chasing snipe, and heck, here in Vermont, there's just so many opportunities. You can go dizzy trying to do it all or any one thing. But so I've kind of dabbled with a lot of different things. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on the obscure kind of pursuits, right? So I've hunted snipe, I've hunted rail, and they're an absolute blast. And it's a great way. Instead of just sitting around just wishing that hunting seasons would come in, it's a great way to get the dog out. A lot of times in September, is when these seasons open for our states. And yeah, you can get out, you can find snipe, you can find, I don't know what all rail species you can hunt up there, but we can hunt store rails here. We can't hunt the Virginias or the clappers or kings, but, and they lend themselves to like really good dog work. Cause if you've got, I've actually had a guest on here just a few weeks ago, that their episode's coming out here in the near future, talking about kind of the conditions that you're looking for, what's optimal conditions, for the dog to be able to smell those birds and not put too much pressure. Talking about snipe specifically, because they don't tolerate a whole lot of pressure. They're pretty, I'm sure as you've experienced, they can be pretty spooky, and don't let you get terribly too close. And then the rails are just a whole different game too, of just, if you've ever seen one, they're like walking on stilts. They're just a really interesting bird, but they're a lot of fun to hunt too. I will say, like for me with my dog, I don't know what it was out in the marsh last year. she just got ate up with some type of plant out there. It had like a pretty strong allergic reaction where her stomach was just as like red as like the record button at the top of the screen here. And so I think specifically for me, as much as I don't want to, I'm going to have to practice some restraint and just do what's best for my dog. Even though I love hunting them and they're a ton of fun, and just another way to, extend that adventure. I would highly suggest anybody go out and, like I said, snipe. They're a real thing, and you can go find them. And they're a lot like a woodcock in their appearance, but they're a little bit more of a slim profile and all that. But a cousin probably to the woodcock. So. Yeah, and the dogless hunter thing too, man. I can relate to that. I went, a good little while without a dog and chasing birds with that, and you can definitely do that.
Yeah, and I've been, gosh, I'm almost afraid to. Well, of course, I hunt with friends and their dogs, but I'm almost afraid to bring a bird dog into the home because how much that's going to change, at least the way that I hunt. It does kind of slow things down. There's a little bit more, harder of a work ethic. Sort of feels like that, and you appreciate it more, getting the flushes, getting the bird in the hand.
Sure.
It's going to be, yeah, I've done it for almost like 10 years now, I think. And so it'll definitely change things. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, so yeah. And I think you said too, just the different places that these birds take you to. Other guests have talked about different prairie birds and things like that. But the snipe, man, they'll pull you into some pretty obscure, difficult to navigate. But just the stuff you see along the way, and here in New England, the way we hunt grouse and woodcock is a little different. We don't have the real estate. We don't have as large like patch cuts as Midwest, other places. So it's lots of like smaller covers, little pockets or little edges, things like that. So it's cool to kind of just get the Rolodex going of like, okay, let's hit a few spots this morning and, travel around a little bit, hit a few more. It's quite a bit different, but I certainly enjoy it.
Yeah. So it's not necessarily like these wide swaths of like clear cuts that you're hunting that like when you think kind of quintessential like Upper Peninsula, Wisconsin, you name it. It's more of like, yeah, what's the cover type like, were you to describe it, like in a paragraph?
Yeah, great question. So like Tyler mentioned, the Northeast Kingdom of Vermont is more reminiscent of like Maine or Upper Midwest where you do have larger timber activity. But here in like the Green Mountains, kind of central part of Vermont, there are smaller patch cuts. It might be more of like a mosaic pattern. But I'm also hunting a lot of edges. So it might be transitions between, swamps to hardwoods, or like different cover changes or different age classes of timber. And then, yeah, just like, cause I'm where I am here, I'm in agriculture country, like in the Champlain Valley, not a lot of birds here. You go up into the mountains. But it's just like smaller overall. And then what is, of course, super neat is, like the old Terry Redland photos of like the stone fence and the old aging apple orchard and the old homestead. Like I get to walk through some of these paintings and some of the covers that I get to hunt. So it's just a joy to do that too.
Yeah. It makes sense then that those transition zones or whatever that you were talking about, that like probably the diversity in there is what the grouse is keying in on too, I would think, right? That they're finding in those transition zones.
Yeah, and one thing too to keep in mind is like, I had the opportunity to hunt quail, so sort of like thinking about that like cubby mentality, like don't kill the cubby. We kind of do, or at least I do that with my grouse coverts because there might only be a bird or two in 40 acres, and
Sure.
you pound that in a season, you're gonna wipe it out for a while. So it's being really careful about that, I think, and just respecting the resource. These grouse are hardy, and we do have West Nile of habitat concerns like a lot of other places. So the birds are hardy, but give them a chance. And in certain places, maybe closer to home for me, like they're in like marginal habitat or like that mediocre type of habitat. Like they'll find the structure, they'll find the food sources and like thermal cover that they need. And when you add up those elements, like anywhere else you have birds, I of course we love to geek out on anecdotes and observations. Like I do feel like the grouse here will move like kind of seasonally. And it could be like, so we start the end of September and the leaves are on the trees. The nuts and berries, things are still up. So the birds are in different areas. And then like once the leaves come down, food sources changes, like you'll find them in different areas and it might not
Yeah.
be that same cover that you'll find them in throughout the year. So it's I'm a couple years in, probably 6 years of like hardcore grouse hunting. So still kind of figuring them out and, like anywhere else, they're educating you every day.
For sure. And you never do figure them out, right? And that's what makes them fun.
I
But
hope not
so,
to. Yeah, right.
yeah. So, hey, man, tell us about this dog that you're is about to change your life, you said.
Yeah. Well, here's a big thing, and I hope we can all still be friends, and Tyler will still come hunt with me in October. But because of everything I've done personally and professionally, I've been exposed to everything, like you mentioned, Ryan, all the different types of working dogs, and the type of dog and hunt that left the biggest impression on my heart was the squirrel dogs. So I've got a
Cool.
lead on a squirrel dog puppy that's going to be coming here around the 1st of September, and so getting started with that, and we'll kind of see how that goes and evolves, and then add to the kennel in another year or two from there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hey, no hard feelings whatsoever. That's awesome. And a good squirrel dog, I'm sure is captivating in its own way, right? So
Yeah,
there's something to
and
celebrate
hey,
there.
absolutely, and I think what's cool too, what we really celebrate at UKC and American Field is the versatility. I know that gets tossed around, but the dual purpose or sort of do anything dog, whether it's like shed hunting or blood tracking, or there's some feist owners with squirrel dogs that are flushing birds and running rabbits, hunting
Sure.
coons, whatever it might be. So we'll see
Yeah.
what happens.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll have to follow along with that and follow up with you and see how that's going. That's super exciting. So, Chris, want to thank you today for joining us on the Upland Social, man, and it's been a lot of fun. Really appreciate it, dude.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right, we're kicking things over to Jake Bartels, our final guest for today. Jake, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing well, man. What are you up to today?
I'm actually in the truck with hauling a trailer full of dogs with my family in the truck, heading up towards a NAVTA test that we'll be running, and I'm actually judging this weekend. So, a weekend full of bird dogs, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, that's a good weekend for sure. And you the audio may not have cut out on this recording, but it did cut out for a split second, just at least in my ears. Where at is the NAVDA event at?
This one's just up in northern PA, so I'm only about a 2-hour ride. Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, well, cool. Well, on the topic of travel, where all are you traveling to this fall, man, to do some bird hunting endeavors with your dogs?
Well, it's interesting. After listening to these guys, I think out of the 10 minutes we're all allotted, I only need about 30 seconds, and I think a few of them need a few. I can donate a few of my minutes to them. So this year we're building a family home, and we're kind of doing most of the work ourselves. So my fall's not crazy busy, but I think we're going to be pretty local. See, the kind of bummer about doing a lot of the dog trials that I do is a lot of them fall in September and October, or August and September and into October. And there's something that just doesn't seem right about testing your dog's ability to hunt birds when you could be out there hunting birds.
Sure.
But this year I'm doing a little bit of testing. But we'll for sure get after some wood ducks early on when our early wood duck season is. Just like Chris said, our Canada goose season opens up September 1st. So when we get opportunities on that, we'll get after it. I don't have a early season trip planned across the country this year, just with having the house to do. But our late season trip, I think, is gonna make up for it some, because it'll be the first time I have my daughter in tow. It'll be her first year shooting on the wing, and the first time that we've gone truly out in the wild uplands together. So
Yeah, That's cool, man. So where's that trip at?
That is going to be Nevada for me this year.
Okay.
Also, probably if I can swing a long weekend to either playing around with Kentucky, some ideas in Kentucky, which is a way lesser known state, or even up into New York, maybe Tug Hill or something to try and hit some rough grouse for a long weekend.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. Kentucky, you won't be too terribly far from me then.
No,
And
I've thought about that.
yeah, yeah, we have to talk more about that later. But yeah, well, cool, man. So you'll hunt you'll hunt like a fair bit of like rough grouse around just home there, or do you have? I mean, is it? I'm sure, kind of based off of where I know that you kind of live at. Do you have to drive a fair bit to get into roughs, or is it they pretty close
Yeah.
by?
So, I mean, probably the closest one I could find, and it would be far from good hunting, would be about an hour and a half. And really, I'm the better part of 3.5 into the northern middle part of the state where there's some better populations, or some, I should say, at least some rebounding populations.
Hmm.
The good news is Pennsylvania has finally changed its laws so that we can hunt Sunday. So we were one of very few states that were not able to hunt Sunday up until this year, and they've opened that up for our small game and deer. I think the only thing that wasn't included in that was waterfowl because of how they set the season. So it won't be until next year that transfers over to us.
Yeah, yeah, that definitely will open up some opportunities, and I heard about that recently, opening up for you guys. And it's tough, especially if you've got kids that have events on Saturdays, and you're running to this family event and that, or you might have a field trial on a Saturday, whatever. And that extra day, if you're working Monday through Friday, I mean it's definitely helpful to have that. So yeah, man. um yeah. So, well, you're hunting a lot of local stuff, and you're obviously busy with building the home too. I mean, that's exciting as well. I have to ask. So, Kentucky, what draws you down to Kentucky?
What draws me to Kentucky is and I can give you a better update after, but I think I've got my finger on a spot that it's only about an 8-hour drive for me. And so I think I could grab my kids out of school on a Friday evening, get there still that evening, or after school, get there still that evening, get to hunt a Saturday and a early part of Sunday, and come back. And I think so I can make a weekend trip out of it. And it's the closest place I think I can get into some Bob Whites.
Okay. Yeah.
So, or one of
Yeah.
the closest places.
Yeah, yeah. It's no, I've definitely had some successful quail hunts down in Kentucky as well,
Nice.
and it's yeah. So we could talk more about that later off the air, but yeah. Well, that's fun, and just like you and I talked about on the episode we did several weeks back, it's always fun. There's just something to be said about just trying a new spot, even if it's like not necessarily known for this species or that species. If there's some birds there, a lot of times that's enough for me to go check it out and just see what it's all about. And you never know,
Yeah,
you might find a new gem. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, and I think what's some of the places I found, I think they're going to be more concentrated habitats, and so it's not going to be a place you'd want to stay a week anyway.
Hmm.
For one, I don't love hunting the same places over and over, and it's not good for the birds. I like to say, okay, I found a good healthy covey. I got my bird out of that covey, and we go try and find another one now.
Yeah, yeah. No, and that's obviously very protective of the resource as well. So, Nevada, are you chasing chucker primarily out there, or what do you got on the docket out there?
That's kind of primary, but we're gonna try and travel the state a little bit and really do as much of the mixed bag as we can. So, um, so we're looking forward to staying somewhat remote and kind of satelliting out and seeing what all we can find.
Yeah, yeah, awesome, man. Well, I wish you the best, dude, and even with just the stuff with the house and all that, that's all good
No,
stuff
I
as
appreciate
well.
that.
And yeah, so
I'll
it's
tell you what, listening to this, I thought listening would be sitting by as a bystander. I really enjoyed listening to everybody. They got me revved up. I want to relook at my schedule now, see if I can't fit something else in.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, no, it's been a ton of fun and hearing about everybody's plans. And guys, really appreciate you all coming on the show today. This was a lot of fun, and really looking forward to yeah, getting this out to the world and having our little online Upland party here.